So, morning everyone. What I'll do is I'll first of all introduce myself and then I'll run through the content of the slides that we're going to walk through today. So my name's Will Young. I'm a Business Development Manager for Transportian for UK and Ireland. We've got a 30-minute slot for today, so let's see how we go. It will be slightly shorter than usual. Normally I spend the initial 6-7 minutes explaining my pop career and how I win Pop Idol, and then went into Strictly. Demographics not great, Andrew, so mental note, I'll remove that for the future, yeah? So basically what we want to do is we want to just really give you a high-level overview with regards to future trends and challenges within supply chain. So the main topics that we're going to talk about is really a quick introduction about Transporeon, just to set the scene where we sit as a business. Once we've done that, we'll really look at the consumer demands and how the market's changed. And then we want to focus on drive into specifically the UK challenges and then look at future scenarios as such, just really to provoke the thought process of what's happening in the future. So just to give you a background on Transporeon, so we're a German-based company. We've been operational since 2000. And we are fundamentally a SaaS provider. So we're a cloud-based solution that's offering digitalization and automation from the manufacturer side fundamentally into the carrier network. So we're looking to streamline that process. Currently, we've just got over 1,000 manufacturers on the platform and just over 65,000 carriers on the platform. And we're running in just over 100 countries, and the platform is available in 22 languages. Sorry, I'm going really quickly here, so if anyone's got any questions, then I'm more than happy to take them at the end as well. So when we look at the functionality of Transporeon, looks a relatively complex slide, this one, but it's pretty straightforward as such. So starting from left and going across, within the business, we've got a sister company called T-Contracts, and that is an e-tendering tool, so offers the ability to support through portal online tendering, where we can consolidate submissions through RFIs, RFPs, RFQs, and then consolidate that detail back out and push it back out to yourself in more simplistic reporting messages to allow you to understand market trends, etc. The second option that you move into is the transport assignment piece. So this is a load allocation to your carrier network. Now that can be done through a number of different options. The two main options are no-touch order and best carrier. No-touch order is for predefined carriers at the already existing agreed prices and volumes. And the second option, best carrier, is fundamentally a daily spot tendering tool through only your active carriers. So we are not an open platform. So it's purely just reaching out to your existing carrier network to say, guys, is there any interest in this? Moving on to the third module, time slot management. That's all around dockyard management and vehicle movements on and off site. And what we're really looking at there is coordinating vehicle movements, monitoring carrier performance with regards arrival on time, monitoring carrier performance with regards health and safety locally, and also you can incorporate operational performance as well, i.e. vehicle turnaround as well. The final sort of main jewel in the crown for us is all around transport visibility, and we'll briefly touch on this later as well. So OTIF for us all is becoming more and more important, and transport visibility really all focuses around, did that load arrive on time in full? Was it a clean delivery? Everything that associates to cash flow and pushing through confirmed clean loads as such. And obviously at the tail end of that, there's the reporting and analysis that goes off the back of that. So any information that's inputted into Transporeon can be extracted out in customized bespoke reports, or you can extract it back out in raw data as such as well if required. So now that was the piece around Transporeon, so hopefully that gives you a very rough understanding of what we do in the business. We now sort of move on to the point around consumer demands and changing of consumer demands. And all I've done is I've tried to highlight some key topical areas for us that, that we all talk about. Obviously, the retail sector, the industry, it's all changing. I'm not going to run through every single topic here, but if you look at as an example, e-com, Certainly my wife spends the majority of my salary on e-com through buying whatever she's buying on the internet. That's grown significantly in recent years. You look at Prime now, so we're now actually selecting what we want, where we want, with regards to delivery as well. And obviously there's that big nasty animal. I don't know how many people spoke about that bottom one yet today. Is the nasty B word allowed to be spoke about, or is everybody just forgetting about the skeleton in the closet just now? But yeah, this has all been driving a change in marketplace and a change in thought process, which obviously has got a direct impact on what happens with regards to the supply chain or the logistics industry as such. When we look at the main key inefficiencies within transportation today, for us as Transporeon, talking to our customers and talking to our carrier providers, these are the 4 main challenges that we've got in the industry just now. So, subject to who you talk to, there's at least a 15 to 20% volume of trucks on the road that are running around empty capacity. I would suggest that number's probably higher, but I think it is, it's quite a large number even that we've presented today. So that's a major challenge. Waiting times, so on average, there's around 90 minutes of a truck stand time. So again, demurrage costs, challenges, sourcing resource within the operation to load or unload the vehicle brings its own complexity. The next part's all around manual processes, which obviously is another challenge. So that's looking at the impact of non-digitalisation, i.e. emails, phone calls, faxes, all very manual processes, all very labour intensive. And then the final part is that lack of transparency. It's really just what's happening in the world. Do we know what's happening? Can we be proactive as such? So these are the 4 pillars that in general are not specific to the UK market, but more as a global challenge, let's say. When we talk about the UK market, and again, this is only Transporeon's outlook in life. We're not saying this is hard facts, so don't shoot the messenger. But this is just some of the feedback and some of the analysis that we're getting from our clients and such like. So I think we're all in agreement that HGV traffic is increasing year on year. Our understanding is that it'll increase by 9% by 2020 and actually a further 20% by 2035. Associated to that, there's also an increase in light goods vehicles as well, which again is going to further congest the situation. And obviously going back to the previous slide, when we talk about demand volume volatility, so the good old days of full truckloads moving from A to B are pretty much gone. So there's 7-day orders, there's 7-day delivery, volumes going down and frequencies going up. So again, another massive challenge. What we now start to look at as well is the impact and the challenge associated with actually ageing driver population. Obviously, the implementation of driver CPC had a massive impact. And I think that the next topic, you could challenge it, but I think even taking it the context that we look at just now, if you just digest, what we're saying is estimated 1/3 of total drivers as they stand just now could retire by 2023. For me, that's quite a scary number, and that's not something that we can hide away from. That is something that we really need to challenge and address immediately. Also, there's the element of subcontractor availability. That's a major bottleneck, again, for a lot of our customers. And I think that driver shortage will only continue to get worse. And actually, the reliance on driver agency will only continue to increase as well. So what we now say is, well, how can we try and overcome these challenges? What options have we got? How can we find a solution? So these are real high-level overviews about how we feel as Transporeon we can try and impact that. So the first part is around capacity sourcing. So can we do that better? Can we do that more efficiently? Can we think differently? Service and reliability, I think we're all in agreement that OTIF is a real forefront of every business now. So I think that will continue to go. And then when we talk about the efficiency in transport operations, do we really understand load optimization? Do we truly understand empty running capacity within our business? I don't necessarily know the answer. And then the final jewel in the crown for us is really looking at transport collaboration. We think that's where the business, Transporeon, thinks that's where we should be going, or where supply chain in the UK should certainly be going. So, to make that successful, there's 3 pillars for us in the success factor. The first one's commitment. I think there's been a number of projects over the years, a number of discussions over the years that's hypothetically looked to say, yeah, that sounds good. But actually the challenge we've now got is this whole cultural change and a different mindset. So rather than going from a theoretical can we, to actually saying, guys, we really need to do this. We really need to address this issue because of the previous challenges we've seen. I think the other challenge we've also got at looking at true collaboration is actually getting full buy-in from the MD of your business down to the transport planner, as an example. So it's full buy-in throughout the business. And obviously implementing the initiative. What resource do we need? I think, within supply chain, we will come up with ideas. And typically the first question quite often is, we don't have the headcount for it, we don't have the budget for it. Yeah, it's not going to go anywhere. So I do think there's a need to have a buy-in and commitment, both an allocation of resource and actually some investment as well. The next pillar to make the success factor is technology. Obviously, what drives this is a collaborative platform, really which looks to support all participants as far as technical integration. So, gives full visibility, gives the opportunity for KPI data analytics, really so you can measure the benefits and drive in value for everyone. So let's look at that, a collaborative platform which supports all that element. Be great if we knew of a business that could do that. Yeah, no sales pitch here, I'm told. The final element of that is looking at connectivity. So obviously not only looking at the manufacturers, but potentially looking at retailers. You're also looking at the haulier partners as well. So full integration. And we've found our biggest success in many of our projects are looking to engage with your carrier network, your haulier network in advance, and really look to try and engage them and bring them into the party, making sure that they're fully aware how critical they are to this project to make the project a success. And obviously from the carrier's perspective, there's the ability of reduction of empty miles. There's also the ability of load optimization as well. So it's a win-win for everyone, basically. As far as how we would go about this process, so that again, there's 3 analyses or 3 opportunities here. So the first element of it is looking at big data. So that analysis is all associated to, as an example, where are the production, where are the outbound loading facilities, what's the distance between those locations, and actually does it make sense to collaborate? So that's the first element of it, is really reviewing that big data and trying to understand the impact of that and coordinating that information. What then happens, obviously, the digitalization. How do we interface? What does that connectivity look like? How do we actually drive those business models from a logistical perspective with regards value chain, including the real-time planning, simplification, all that stuff that's associated with digitalization. And the output of that really then looks at this whole collaboration piece, and I've probably took the copyright on the word collaboration after the number of times I've said it, but we truly do believe that that's the critical part in this whole topic. So what you're looking at is there an opportunity to look at consolidation of LTL volume? Does it make sense? Do the flows support each other? Is the restrictions available to be manipulated to allow that opportunity? And then the second element's looking at the FTL, looking at full load movements, which actually logically seems an easier low-hanging fruit. So you've got the ability to say, could that particular carrier who works for 2 independent manufacturers look at creating a round-trip solution? That's the question, and that's where the big data analysis would come in. So when we look at the big data, fundamentally what we're looking to do is monitor, analyse and evaluate, and really predict the efficiency that this collaboration would work. It's 100% real-time transparency with real-time measurement with the mobile solution, obviously. What we then look is for optimized network. So again, we've spoke about that briefly before. So that's the correct combination of data enables the network to optimize itself and allow the collaboration. If that's not possible, it ain't going anywhere. And then what we can also do through that big data analysis is look at trends such as volume flows and price developments, which we can potentially predict as such. The second part of the digitalization, obviously down the bottom corner there, ERP, EDI, that's pretty much visible for all of us just now. So that's pretty much part of embedded in your day job. Where it starts to get fluffy is that you go further up the chain. So you get to the final point where really there's not that visibility you would expect. So you've not got the true end-to-end visibility. So the challenge really is through this collaboration, through the solutions that we offer, through the greater visibility, through the integration of all the supply chain partners, with this big data, can we make that truly an end-to-end visible solution? And the final element of this 3 modes is associated with the collaboration. So this is just a pictorial of potentially how it would work. So the idea is, with regards the potential collaboration, you can have 2 independent shippers that have got a consortium of different carriers who might not necessarily work together. And really what you're trying to do is you're trying to give visibility where required that shipper A, shipper B, and the carrier partners involved can support this initiative and try and drive value with this initiative. So it's a real simple process. What you're really trying to do is, could the LTL outbound be consolidated? Could the FTL volume be coordinated via round trips as such? So, in summary, what we've covered off so far, hopefully you know a little bit more about Transporeon. Tick, fingers crossed. We've obviously spoke about market challenges and consumer demands changing market challenges. And we've also spoke about specifically the UK transport challenges. We've then also spoke about optimised supply chain collaboration, which, as I say, is a real hot topic for Transporeon and some of our existing customers just now. And the final topic, which we'll cover off shortly, is around what's happening in the future as well. One point that I did mention earlier on with regards to collaboration, so we, Transporeon, really pride ourselves on innovation. And I believe that innovation is driven from our customers and from our carrier network. So we very much believe in networking and getting involved in networking and coordinating those relationships. So we've got an event happening on the 7th and 8th of March. It's happening in Barcelona. And the idea behind it is really to get all parties around the table together and just really talk about collaboration, talk about how we can work stronger together. If anyone wants a bit more detail on it, myself and my colleagues will be on the stand in the booth in the main foyer for the rest of the day as well. So just grab us and we can give you some more information. But certainly a real important event for us annually. So the final topic is really looking at, we've spoke about current challenges, we've spoke about UK current challenges, and we're now going to talk very, very briefly about what we see is happening in the future. So for us, there seems to be noise around 4 main elements. So those 4 elements are really looking at autonomous vehicle, which includes platooning. So for example, platooning trials are start to take place this year. So I think that's really interesting. It'll be interesting to see the output of that and how that progresses. Telepresence robots and virtual worlds. So I think, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with that as well. So we see that's another trend that will happen. And this is all happening. The feedback is that this will happen from 2025 onwards. So it's not that too far in the distance, but some of these things come and go, shall we say. The next element is point-to-point aerial transport. So obviously we've seen all the footage of DHL and Amazon doing some trials with drones. So again, that'll be an interesting topic that we see develop. And then the final element is around Hyperloop, which, there's some really interesting topics on Hyperloop just now. So I think there's a discussion going on, or a development project going on just now, which looks going from Los Angeles to San Francisco, which would take place 48 minutes, the travel distance, in comparison to air freight, which certainly takes 90% more cost and about just under 4 hours as well, so massive impact. Just on that subject, and it's something that's relatively close to my heart, so looking at Hyperloop in comparison to HS2, so I promise not to mention Brexit, but I will mention HS2. So what I did find interesting is looking at some of the numbers and some of the projects with Hyperloop and looking at some of the value that it drives. If you look at the HS2 cost, a number that I was told recently, it equates to £400 million per mile to build HS2, which I think is, again, quite a scary number. And I just wonder if Hyperloop forms part of a discussion for future. I don't know. And that's me.